Hey guys, what's up? It's NihonTiger and welcome back to NihonTiger NeoCraft. This is episode 43. And why does my hand look different? Oh, wait. Oh, look at that. I made a special skin. Aha, look at that. Got myself a little hockey skin because hockey's back. Woo! Woo! Finally. And, I thought there wouldn't be a season this year because, the lockout was dumb and Gary Bettman is evil. And I thought maybe he would take nothing other than the soul-crushing defeat of every single player. And that maybe he would have a season after he drank their tears from a golden chalice. But nope, got a season going. In fact, the Red Wings played tonight, and they won 4-3. Columbus. I did not get to go to the game because I had to go to work. Would have gone if I could have. It's a pretty good game. That Damian Brunner guy, he is something else. Should have seen that shootout goal he had, man. Woo! Guy is good. So, yes, hockey is back, and that is, if you haven't guessed by the title, that is the theme of today's episode, as well as building some more of the house here in GAF Kong. So yes, hockey is back. The NHL has come to an agreement in the past couple of weeks with the Players Association, or I should say the owners have. And also, for those of you who follow basketball, the Seattle Sonics are apparently coming back. The Kings are moving to Seattle. I know some of you who are Kings fans in Sacramento are probably pretty sad about that. I know I've talked to a couple Seattleites who are likewise pretty sad about the whole thing. They have some mixed emotions because their team was taken from them in a similar manner several years ago and moved to Oklahoma City. But I digress. We're here to talk about hockey. And yes, hockey is back. Hockey is back. Hockey is back. Hallelujah. I am still quite upset about the lockout and the fact that it happened, but at least they have what hopefully will be a collective bargaining agreement for the next several years, so we don't have to put up with this crap again. Huzzah! So let me see. Does that looks okay? I think it looks alright. Maybe. I don't know. We'll play around with it a bit. Maybe I'll play around with it a bit at the end of the video, I don't know. But yes, hockey is a very important part of my life. It is not the most important thing, obviously, but I do enjoy me some skating around on the ice and body checks and very flashy goals and awesome kick pad saves, and maybe one day I'll get another Stanley Cup parade in Detroit. That would be nice. For those of you who don't recognize the jersey, yes, it is a Red Wings jersey because I am a Red Wings fan. I grew up in Detroit. Let me tell you a little bit about the story of how I became a hockey fan. Now, when I was growing up, where is the moon? Ah, the moon has just risen. When I was growing up, Red Wings were, oh crap, it's not really raining, is it? Ah! But the Red Wings were not a very good team, and I think I will actually, I'll probably cap the roof off at that, and maybe I'll build a little further down. But they were not a very good team at all. They were a crappy team. An absolutely, positively, bottom of the barrel crappy team. I mean, they, if you listen to some of my friends who are from other towns, they refer to them as the Dead Things. That is actually a nickname that was given to the team by its fans in the 1980s because they were awful. like ridiculously bad, awful. I'll get that to go the other way. But for many years, they were a not so good hockey team. Oh, and I also made a hockey stick. I also need to change that skin color in the neck because that's actually red. I made the home and away jerseys, so it is the home jersey color. Red Wings home jersey is red, and the away jersey is white. So I do need to fix that, and I'll fix that eventually. But yes, the Dead Wings era was actually around the time I was born in the mid-'80s. They were a bad hockey team. They had Steve Yzerman at that time, very famous hockey player for those of you who are not from the Detroit area or unfamiliar with the sport. He is a Hall of Famer, had his number retired a couple years ago. Very good hockey player. But the Red Wings were not very good. They were one of the worst teams in the league, and they were going nowhere fast. So it was this way for almost the first 6 or 7 years I was growing up. They were not making the playoffs. They were not doing very well. They weren't doing well in attendance. People didn't really care. And then they made the playoffs one year. The first year in forever that they actually make the playoffs. And some people cared, but I believe they played San Jose, and I think they may have lost that playoff series. I think it was maybe in like 4 games to 2 or 4 games to 3. I believe it was a first round playoff series. I do remember San Jose beating them at one point and moving on in the playoffs. But at the time, the Red Wings were probably like the 3rd or 4th most popular team in Detroit. They were not a very big team. They did not have a huge following yet. And that was because at the time, the biggest teams were the Lions. That was the Barry Sanders era, right toward the first couple of years of it, which those Lions teams were making the playoffs every year, and they were doing very well, unless people wanted to go to Lions football games. And by and large, Lions are the most popular team in Detroit. All things considered, if all 4 teams were of equal goodness, the Lions would be the most popular team of the 4. And second were the Tigers, the baseball team. This was kind of around that time, the mid-90s. My grandmother was a huge Tigers fan, and this is when they had, Cecil Fielder, and Alan Trammell was in his last few years before he retired. He's very popular. For those of you who don't know who Alan Trammell is, he's a very popular third baseman. Should be in the Hall of Fame, is not for some reason, because baseball writers are stupid. See how that looks. Does that look alright? Yeah, I think that looks cool. I think that'll look nice with once we get the roof on top. But I don't know, maybe. How does that look? Does that look better? Does it look better like that? Yeah, it might look better. I think it looks better like that now that I think about it. But I want these to come down from the bottom like that. Okay. So, yeah, the Tigers were doing very well at this point. The Pistons. This was around the time that Michael Jordan was getting really big in basketball circles. But at the same time, the Pistons had you had Joe Dumars, Isaiah Thomas. This was the time kind of toward the damn. I should put my armor on. Walking around without it, derp. But this was around the time where they were kind of kind of on their downswing, I guess you could say. They were not as good as they used to be, but at the same time, they were still competitive in the Eastern Conference. They were not, Michael Jordan was kind of really big at this time. He and the Bulls were kind of winning all their titles, but that is a problem. That is a problem. I don't want to do that. I may want to end up shelving these anyways. Okay, I'll probably end up doing that. Yeah, like that. I'll leave these top ones as is. Okay, but yeah, Jordan was, this was the Michael Jordan era. This was, just do it. Air Jordan, Scottie Pippen. The first Bulls three-peat was around this time, and the Pistons were kind of on their downswing, but nobody knew that yet. And nobody would also know that they would change the colors to this putrid teal and red and black and yellow scheme that everybody hated until they changed it back, and then nobody missed it again. But the Red Wings were kind of down there with the Pistons, maybe even sometimes lesser liked than they were, because they had been such a bad team for so many years. And I was not a big hockey follower at this time. Most people really weren't big hockey followers, but it was around that time, 93 was, I think, was the playoff year. Maybe it was 92. I don't remember. I was too young to remember. But 94, I kind of didn't do very well either, I don't think. But 95 was the year, really, when everybody, including myself, really became hockey fans, because that was the year that they made the Stanley Cup run. They won the Western Conference, got to go to the finals against New Jersey, and they lost. But right about then was about the time that a lot of people started to follow the Wings again. And next year, 96 was the year a lot of people were kind of, they were anticipating, okay, this is going to be the year, this is going to be the year. And I think about 96, there's that ring again, I think it's from Charlie's thing. I'll have to go explore that again at some point. But 96 was the year that Colorado went to the playoffs, and Colorado won the whole thing. But that was the year, I remember this very clearly, staying up to watch this game. It was first round. Was it first round? No, it was second round. Second round was the series against St. Louis. And, Wayne Gretzky was playing for the Blues at this time, and Blues and the Red Wings playing the same division, they're rivals. And it's a really big rivalry. It's Game 7, gone into overtime. That is the skeleton. Let me get out my sword. But had gone into overtime, and out of nowhere, like about 2-ish minutes into I think it was the second overtime, the Red Wings are in their zone and they're clearing the puck, and they clear it out, and Gretzky, Gretzky being Gretzky, he picks it off, he intercepts it at the midpoint. Yeah, I think we can do something with that. He, at the kind of maybe toward the midpoint between the blue line closest to the Red Wings goal and the center ice, and he gets a stick on it, but it bounces off his stick, and Steve Yzerman picks it up. And I remember this because I was young, I was staying up to watch the game. He picks it up, and Yzerman from the blue line, from the Blues blue line, just slaps it through. Goes up over the shoulder of the St. Louis goalie into the net. Everyone is going nuts. The place just explodes. This is at Joe Louis, and it just explodes, with cheers and people jumping up and down, and Yzerman's getting mobbed, and you listen to, I think it's on, I think you can find it on YouTube, but the ESPN call of that game with Gary Thorne, holy crap. Wow, that is a game. That was a call, that was a goal, that was amazing. And that was the year they went to the Western Conference Finals against, yeah, it looks alright. Against, I'm trying to brain fart here, I just said Colorado, right? Colorado, yeah. And they lost. And unfortunately, the Avs went on to win the cup that year. And so the rivalry began, much to everyone's eventual enjoyment, because for a couple of years there, the Red Wings and the Avs were beating the crap out of each other like every weekend. And I do remember, in particular, I was at a, which year was it? It was one of the years, I think it was '02. I was at a Tigers game downtown, and the Red Wings were playing the Avalanche the same night. And I'll tell the story right now, even though it happened in the future. But they're playing that game, and Patrick Waugh is in goal, and they're keeping track of the game score. And every time the Red Wings scored, Hockey Town Cafe, which is right across the street from Comerica Park, you just hear these cheers erupting. So you knew, oh, okay, Red Wings scored. So sure enough, I think it's like maybe the bottom of the first or second inning, you hear a cheer, and sure, second enough, Red Wings scored. It was 1-0, and it was 2-0, and it was 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, and eventually at some point I think it got to be 6-0, and they pulled Waugh, and holy crap, the entire Comerica Park, just went nuts when they announced that they pulled him. And I've yet to hear a cheer like that at any Tigers game for anything, maybe except the '04 World Series, the '04 ALCS, when Ordonez hit the home run off Houston Street. I think that's maybe the only time I've ever heard a place light up like that. And this was at a baseball game. You're cheering for a hockey game at a baseball game. That tells you how much the people of Detroit like hockey, doesn't it? But yeah, that was a surreal experience being there, and you could just hear the cheers from Hockey Town Cafe, and everyone was like, everyone was having a good time, and the Tigers lost. This was when the Tigers were awful, so they would always lose. So now that I've kind of done that real quick little segue, let's go back to where we were. So we're talking about the Red Wings and how I became a fan. So around this time, around 95, 96, I'm really getting into the Red Wings. I'm really a fan. I'm still pretty young at this time. I'm about 10 years old, so I don't know many of the players. I have not been paying much attention to this team, but it just happened to be at the right time too, because all the other teams, the Tigers were under downswing, the Pistons were rebuilding at this time, and let me see how that looks. Okay, maybe I wanna bring this down over one more here too. Like something like that, maybe like that. Yeah, I think that'll work. But yeah, this was at a time when that everyone was doing bad except maybe the Red Wings, so people really got in the bandwagon. And then '97 was the year that they won the Stanley Cup, and my goodness, what a what a raucous time that was. I'll tell you that much. That's that's something that you would never forget happening. And I remember McCurdy's goal. I remember, God, everything about that whole series to Philadelphia. When they got that last horn. They won 4-0, and the whole place was just loud as heck. And my parents let me stay up and watch that. And this time they didn't send me to bed right after the game ended. They actually let me stay up and watch the celebrations and watch watch Scotty Bowman skate around with the cup and get to see all these guys who never want to see on the cup before. Come out and hoist the cup up, and the crowd would go mad when these guys would do it. But yeah, it was. What in the heck is that? Okay, but find some wood around here. I don't really want to tear out these trees because they look nice. So maybe over there. Let's go over here real quick. Swim across. But that was I think the year that a lot of people throughout that whole season, a lot of people who weren't maybe really into hockey or who had kind of been on the fringe or who were new to it, really in Detroit really got into it again. And ever since then, from 97 onward, I would probably say without a doubt that the Red Wings have been the most popular team in Detroit, or in Michigan even almost. Well, maybe not so much. Some of the Michigan State basketball teams are pretty popular too, but as far as professional sports goes, I would say without a doubt the Red Wings have been most consistently popular, and that's in part because of the fact that they make the playoffs every year. So that leads me to this year. Unfortunately, this year they're kind of in a rebuilding year. They have a lot of big contracts left. They have .6 contracts, Zetterberg, Franzen. Glitstrom is retired now, so they have a huge gaping hole, and that is someone's house. Interesting. So you can't fill that. I was gonna say they have to try and fill that, and you can't really fill a Hall of Famer's spot like Nick Glitstrom, unfortunately. So it does not look like it's going to be a good year, but there are a few bright spots, and Mr. Brunner is one of them. He was playing with Zetterberg during the lockout in Switzerland, and he had a magnificent season, and I know a lot of Red Wings fans, including myself, are really hopeful that he's kind of going to be, another one of these Red Wings steals, another guy they pick up under everyone's radar who turns out to be, the next godly thing, like Datsuk and Zetterberg were, and even Franzen and Kronwall and all these guys to an extent were really unheralded prospects. So that's the one thing that the Wings do really well, is they get these guys that maybe they're not Iserman level prospects or like a Sidney Crosby type guy, but they get them and they turn out to be players who can either. Is it someone else's house too? God, this house is everywhere out here. It's not as isolated as I thought. Shoot. But they get these players, and they may not be the best on their own, but they put them in the Red Wings system, and they turn out to be amazing players. They turn out to be absolutely amazing, for the system. And of course, the thing is, when a lot of these guys leave the Red Wings and they go somewhere else, half the time they don't tend to be as good. So that is also something to think about and consider when you're building talent. You don't really want to worry about whether a guy is going to be good on the Blackhawks. If he goes there, you want to get guys who are good for your system and work for the type of team you are trying to build. And that's I think the big thing that the Wings have to do over the next season or two. Even though the season's short, it's only 48 games. I'm hopeful that we'll have guys like Brunner and I don't know, maybe some of the young guys like Nyquist will kind of step up, and we'll get to see what they're made of, because the roster is a lot thinner this year without a lot of the big names there. And the other thing too is you can't really do what the Red Wings used to do, or what they did for a couple years there, and go out and get all these Hall of Fame guys who really want a cup and basically LeBron it. So that's kind of why I can't really hate too much on the Yankees and the Heat for doing what they do, even though I don't really like it, because it is somewhat hypocritical. My favorite team did the same thing in a different sport. So that is something that I have to consider when I mention, not liking the Heat because of such a thing, or the Yankees suck because they do X, Y, and Z. So that is, that's the new NHL. They have to kind of play within the new rules now, and it's going to be tough. I'm not gonna lie. It's not going to be easy for them to get back to where they were. But I'm hopeful. One of these days I'll get to actually see a Stanley Cup parade through downtown Detroit again, and I'll have to call in sick at work. So we will see. We will see how this season goes, and hopefully, fingers crossed. It will make the playoffs for the 22nd straight year. This year, I know some people are not hoping they'll make the playoffs, so they get a better draft pick. But really, come on, I really want that. I really want that whole streak to continue. It's kind of like the Undertaker's mythical streak at WrestleMania. You just kind of hope it keeps going and that no one breaks it, because if someone dropped, but if someone breaks it, it doesn't really mean anything anymore. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really mean anything anymore when the Undertaker shows up at WrestleMania and he's 21-1 versus being 21-0 as mythical undefeated warrior kind of dealio. But it's fun. It's fun. I'm hoping for a good season this year. I'm hoping for a lot of fun. And I'm hoping that Gary Bettman decides to announce at the end of the year that he's retiring and leaving planet Earth forever. That would be great. That would be great, Mr. Bettman. Anytime you want to leave the NHL, I'll be happy to have you leave. I will even pack your bags. I will pack your bags. I will be that nice. I will pack your bags when you decide to leave the league. Please do it soon. Save us all from your terribleness. So, let me take a look at this. I think I may want to bring this down one more set of stairs again after I do this, but let me just finish building this and I can stop boring you with my hockey related stories, and we can have another episode done. So yeah, I do like sports, and I especially like the hockeys. I grew up as if you don't know, I grew up in Newport Huron, and they kind of have a hockey team. Not really anymore though. It's minor league. The Fightin' Falcons, I think is what it's called. They've had a couple teams in there because they can't seem to keep a team in there. I think that's all right. We'll work on this a little bit more, maybe off camera, and kind of slant this up a little bit more if we can't. Make it look a little bit more like that. Oh, jeez. Where the hell did you come from? Jerk. Legitimately scared the crap out of me. I think I do need to do a little bit of work on slanting this, so you know what, I'm going to end this episode here. We've kind of got a roof over our heads now and whatnot, so a little shorter than usual, but thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, good luck, good mining, have fun, and I will see you guys next time when maybe we'll work on this next time. Maybe we'll go visit somewhere else, but we'll come back and work on this a little bit more off camera, and I'll see if I can't make the roof look a little bit more like that roof or that roof. I do have some work to do on that, so we're making progress. It's looking pretty nice. But thanks for watching, everybody. I'm gonna kill this spider. Good luck, good mining, have fun, and I will see you guys in the next video.